Please be seated. The sitting is open. The court meets this afternoon to hear the second round of oral observations of Myanmar on the request for the indication of provisional measures by the government.
11 ရက်တန်ကိုကြည့်ရှုနေကြတဲ့အားလုံးပဲပြည်သက်အားလုံးပဲမင်္ဂလာပါခင်ဗျာမကြခင်ချိန်တွင်းမှာကမ်ဘီယာကမြန်မာနိုင်ငံကိုတရားစွဲဆိုထားမှုနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးမြန်မာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ပြန်လည်ပြီးတော့တုံ့ပြန်ရှင်းလင်းတော့မှာပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
In relation to issues of prima facie jurisdiction and prima facie standing and the form of the provisional measures requested. The first sub-issue of prima facie jurisdiction relates to the matter of the Gambia acting in these proceedings as a proxy or organ of an international organization.
အခုလက်ရှိမြန်မာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့တုံ့ပြန်ရှင်းလင်းနေတာတော့ Mr. Sticker ဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာအစောပိုင်းကဂမ်ဘီယာနိုင်ငံကနေပြီးတော့တတိယနေ့အဖြစ်တရားရုံးကြားနာချိန်မှာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကိုတုံ့ပြန်ပြောဆိုခဲ့တာဖြစ်ပြီးတော့အခုချိန်မှာတော့မြန်မာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ပြန်လည်ခြေပြနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာဂမ်ဘီယာနိုင်ငံကမြန်မာနိုင်ငံပေါ် genocide ကိစ္စနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီး ICJ မှာတရားစွဲဆိုတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာနယ်သာလန်နိုင်ငံတခိတ်မြို့မှာရှိတဲ့ ICJ တရားရုံးတော်မှာပြန်လည်လျှောက်လဲနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
Some transparency in that respect, but there was complete silence. Not only do we still not know precise amounts contributed by individual donors, we do not even know if the donors include non-state entities such as international organizations, NGOs, or even private individuals. We do not even know if the Gambia is spending a single penny of its own resources on these proceedings. It's accepted that the Gambia signed the application instituting proceedings in its own name. However, it's clear from the documents I took you to yesterday that these proceedings are brought on behalf of the OIC and that the proceedings are financed by an OIC-controlled fund. I will not take you to all that evidence again. The situation is expressed particularly clearly in the 24 November OIC press release at tab 3.17 of the judge's folder. It states in terms that the Gambia, as chair of the ad hoc OIC committee, has been tasked with submitting the case to the ICJ following a decision by the OIC heads of state. The meaning is plain. The decision to bring these proceedings was brought by the OIC heads of state, and the OIC tasked the Gambia to bring them. The Gambia was so tasked in its capacity as chair of the ad hoc committee. The fact that the Gambia brings these proceedings on behalf of the OIC has been announced in official OIC documents, statements made by the Gambia in the General Assembly, and by the law firm representing the Gambia in these proceedings, as well as in the media. The Gambia may now claim otherwise, but this is a bare assertion that is contradicted by the evidence. It may well be that there is more to the background to the adoption of these OIC resolutions than Myanmar can know. If so, explanations and evidence could have been provided by the Gambia, which, unlike Myanmar, was a party to the various developments within the OIC relating to this matter. It has provided none, and in the circumstances, the court can only base its decision on the evidence before it. I would finally note in this respect that the Gambia did not argue today that it would be legitimate for it to bring these proceedings.
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ပါခင်ဗျာအခုလက်ရှိကျွန်တော်တို့မြန်မာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ Mr. Sticker ကနေပြီးတော့တင်ပြနေတာတွေကတော့အင်မတန်ကောင်းမှန်ပါတယ်အထူးသဖြင့်တော့ Gambia ဟာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံအပေါ်တရားစွဲဆိုမှုမှာ OIC ရဲ့ထောက်ပံ့မှုဘယ်လောက်ထိရှိခဲ့တယ်လဲဘယ်လိုပုံစံမျိုးတွေနဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံပေါ်အခုလိုတရားစွဲဆိုခဲ့တယ်လဲဆိုတာတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးမြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ပြန်လည်ထောက်ပြပြီးတော့ပြောဆိုနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်
I do not need to repeat all that I said yesterday. They do not. Mr. Daljean referred this morning to the March 2019 OIC Resolution 4/46-MM on the situation of the Muslim community.
မြန်မာစံတော်ချိန်ညနေ3:00 နာရီခွဲကနေ9:00 နာရီအထိ Gambia ဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့တုံ့ပြန်ရှင်းလင်းမှုတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးပြန်လည်ခြေပနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်မြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့မနေ့က OIC အခြေပြုပြီးတော့ Gambia ကတရားစွဲဆိုတယ်လို့ဆွဆွဲချက်ပေါ်မှာ Gambia ဘက်ကပြန်လည်တုံ့ပြန်သွားပြီမြဲတကယ်တမ်းတော့ OIC နဲ့ဘယ်လောက်ကင်းရှင်းနေဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်း OIC ကဘယ်၍ဘယ်များထောက်ပံ့ပြီးလုပ်တယ်ဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်းနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့ညှင်းဆိုသွားတာမရှိဘူးဆိုတာကို Mr. Sticker ကနေပြီးတော့တည်တည်ချာချာပဲပြန်လည်ပြီးတော့တုံ့ပြန်ပြီးတရားရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြနေတဲ့အခြေအနေပါခင်ဗျာ
concerning the interpretation, application, or fulfillment of the Genocide Convention within the meaning of Article 9. I therefore maintain the position that the 11 October note verbal did not call for a response, either at all or in any event within a month. Mr. President, members of the court, I then turn to the issue of standing. Counsel for the Gambia once again blurs the crucial difference between the right to invoke another state's responsibility and the question whether a state has standing before this court. This difference is important as the general right to invoke another state's responsibility under customary international law is much broader.
ဒီနေ့အစောပိုင်းမှာ Gambia ဘက်ကပြန်လည်ပြီးတော့ရှင်းလင်းထားတာတွေပုံမှာ Mr. Sticker ကနေပြီးမြန်မာဘက်ကနေပြီးကြက်ကြလက်ကြနဲ့ပြန်လည်ပြောဆိုနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်တကယ်တော့ Gambia နိုင်ငံဟာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံပေါ်မှာ genocide နဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတရားစွဲဆိုနိုင်တယ်တရားစွဲဆိုမှုလုပ်လို့ရတယ်လို့ဘယ်လိုပဲရှင်းပြနေစီကမူသူတို့ရှိမှရှိနေတဲ့အချက်လက်တဲ့အခြေအနေတွေဟာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံအပေါ်မှာတရားစွဲဆိုနိုင်တဲ့အခြေအနေမှာရှိမနေဘူးဆိုတော့ Mr. Sticker ကနေပြီးတော့အချက်လက်တွေနဲ့ပြန်လည်ပြီးတော့တရားရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြပေးနေတာပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
constituted a progressive development of international law. Secondly, the ILC has made it clear that Article 48 of the draft articles was without prejudice to the general principle that the implementation of state responsibility is in first place an entitlement of the injured state. Or as the ILC's former special rapporteur on the matter put it in unequivocal terms, the priority of specially affected states ought to be recognized when it comes to reactions to violations of erga omnes norms. The progressive development provided for in Article 48, paragraph 2 of the ILC's articles on state responsibility was thus merely intended to ensure that where there is no state at all that is individually injured, some third entity is available to invoke the responsibility of the violating state in the interest of the beneficiaries of that obligation breached. However, in cases like the one before you now, in which there is a specifically affected state, namely Bangladesh, a finding which the applicant did not rebut this morning, it is that especially affected state that has the right to invoke the responsibility of the state that has allegedly breached its obligations. In such a situation, it is neither necessary nor indeed desirable that any other state should then be
အခုလက်ရှိမှာမြန်မာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ပြန်လည်တုံ့ပြန်ခြေပြနေတာဒီကတော့အင်မတန်အားရစရာကောင်းပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာအထူးသဖြင့်တော့ဂမ်ဘီယာနိုင်ငံကပြီးခဲ့တဲ့အစောပိုင်းကဒီနေ့လျှောက်လဲချက်မှာသူတို့အနေနဲ့မြန်မာရောသူတို့ဂမ်ဘီယာနိုင်ငံရောဟာ Genocide Convention မှာလက်မှတ်ရေးထိုးထားတဲ့နိုင်ငံတွေဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ဂမ်ဘီယာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံကို Genocide ကိစ္စအတွက်တရားစွဲဆိုပိုင်ခွင့်ရှိတယ်ဆိုတဲ့ရှင်းလင်းတရားရုံးတော်ကိုရှင်းလင်းချက်ပေါ်မြန်မာဘက်ကပြန်လည်ခြေပထားတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာတကယ်တမ်းတော့ဂမ်ဘီယာနိုင်ငံဟာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံကို Genocide Convention လက်မှတ်ရေးထိုးထားတဲ့နိုင်ငံချင်းတူလို့တရားစွဲဆိုတယ်ဆိုပေမဲ့တကယ်တမ်းတော့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံရဲ့အခြေအနေအနေထားအရအိန္ဒိယနိုင်ငံလည်းမဟုတ်တယ်လို့ဒီအခြေအနေတွေနဲ့ဓာတ်ရိုက်တရားစွဲဆိုပိုင်ခွင့်ရှိတဲ့နိုင်ငံမဟုတ်ဘူးဂမ်ဘီယာကအဲ့လိုအခွင့်အရေးတွေမရှိဘူးဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးမြန်မာဘက်ကနေ Mr. Sticker ကနေပြီးတော့ဥပဒေကြောင်းအရတရားရုံးတော်ကိုပြန်လည်ပြီးတော့ရှင်းလင်းတင်ပြနေတာပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
articles on state responsibility. No state may invoke state responsibility if the injured state has either waived its claim or acquiesced in the lapse of the claim. We submit that the same must hold true when the specially affected state has, by entering a reservation to Article 9 of the Genocide Convention, waived its right to vindicate the responsibility of the alleged wrongdoer before the court. Mr. President, that now brings me to the relevance of Myanmar's Article 8 reservation, which Professor D'Argent, I feel, misunderstands. What he did accept is that Myanmar's reservation has a bearing on the ability to seize the court. And indeed, how could it be otherwise, given that the clear wording of Article 8, namely in French and Spanish, uses terms typically used in relation to court proceedings. And its drafting history shows various attempts to limit the scope of seizure to only some of the organs of the United Nations were rejected. So there's agreement between the parties on that point. Professor D'Argent did claim, however, that Myanmar's interpretation is not bona fide. Yet on the contrary, it's the Gambia's interpretation of Article 8 and Myanmar's reservation there too that's not in line with accepted principles of treaty interpretation, since it empties both Article 8 as well as the reservation to which the Gambia did not object of any relevance. As a matter of fact, contrary to what you heard this morning, Myanmar's argument based on its Article 8 reservation is not depriving Article 9 of any meaning. Rather, it's...
လက်ရှိမှာဒီမှာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့တုံ့ပြန်ရှင်းလင်းနေတာကတော့ဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကကျွန်တော်တို့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံပေါ်မှာပြန်လည်ပြီးတော့တုံ့ပြန်ထားတဲ့ Genocide Convention အပိုက်8နဲ့9ပေါ်မှာအငင်းပွားမှုပေါ်မှာရှင်းလင်းနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်မြန်မာဘက်ကအပိုက်8ကိုလက်မခံထားဘူးဆိုတဲ့ပုံမှာပြန်လည်ရှင်းလင်းနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကတော့မြန်မာဘက်ကအပိုက်9ကိုလက်ခံထားတယ်ဒါကြောင့်တရားစွဲဆိုလို့ရတယ်ဆိုတဲ့အပေါ်မှာပြန်ပြီးရှင်းလင်းတယ်ဒါကိုမြန်မာဘက်ကတကယ်တော့ Genocide Convention နဲ့ပတ်သက်တဲ့အပိုက်8ကိုလက်မခံထားတာဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်အခုကိစ္စရဲ့ပုံမှာဥပဒေပြောင်းရမြန်မာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကတရားစွဲဆိုမှုဟာဆွဲဆိုနိုင်လောက်တဲ့အနေအထားမရှိဘူးဆိုတဲ့ဟာတွေကိုအချက်လက်နဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီး Mr. Sticker ကနေပြီးတော့တရားရုံးတော်ကိုရှင်းလင်းတင်ပြနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
Actio popularis. In other words, if there is any possibility of an actio popularis under the Genocide Convention, if
အစောပိုင်းကဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကဒီနေ့တတိယမြောက်နေ့မှာသူတို့ဘက်ကတုံ့ပြန်ရှင်းလင်းမှုမှာမြန်မာဘက်ကိုတရားစွဲဆိုပိုင်ခွင့်ရှိတယ်လို့ဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကပြောကြားမှုပေါ်မှာမြန်မာဘက်ကလည်းဥပဒေကြောင်းအရတရားစွဲဆိုပိုင်ခွင့်မရှိဘူးဆိုတဲ့ဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ပြန်လည်ပြီးတော့အချက်လက်တွေနဲ့တုံ့ပြန်ပြီးဥပဒေကြောင်းအရရှင်းလင်းနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
cases under the Genocide Convention, it was the specially affected state, be it Bosnia or Croatia, that had brought the case. What's even more is that none of the cases which the court has so far dealt with under the Genocide Convention involved a reservation to Article 8. Thus, the court has never had to pronounce upon the relevance of Article 8 for the season of the court. But in this case, where Myanmar has made a reservation to Article 8, the effect must be that the court cannot be seized of a case under the Genocide Convention by a non-injured, non-specially affected state in circumstances where the respondent state has an Article 8 reservation but has not made a reservation to Article 9. It's obvious that where a contracting party has neither a reservation to Article 8 nor to Article 9, the distinction between the season of the court, regulated by Article 8 and is accepted by the Gambia, and the court's jurisdiction, governed by Article 9, is somewhat academic. But as I said yesterday, a valid season is a necessary precondition for the exercise of the court's jurisdiction. The effect of Myanmar's reservation to Article 8 is that this provision has to be read as providing that not any contracting party may seize the court with a dispute that it might have with Myanmar. Myanmar's reservation to Article 8 on that interpretation therefore has the legal effect of limiting the right to seize the court to those contracting parties that are
မြန်မာဘက်ကဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့တရားရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြနေတာကတော့ကမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့မြန်မာဘက်ကိုတရားစွဲဆိုပိုင်ခွင့်ရှိခြင်းမရှိခြင်းပေါ်မှာအခြေခံပြီးအငင်းပွားမှုပေါ်မှာဥပဒေကြောင်းအရရှင်းလင်းနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ Genocide Convention ရဲ့ Article 8အပိုက်8မှာဖော်ပြထားတာကနိုင်ငံတစ်ခုကအခြားနိုင်ငံတစ်ခုပေါ်မှာလူမျိုးတုံးတပ်ဖြတ်မှုတွေရှိခြင်းမရှိခြင်းပေါ်မှာအဓိကထားပြီးတရားစွဲဆိုပိုင်ခွင့်ကိုအငင်းပွားနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာတကယ်တမ်းကျတော့ဂမ်ဘီယာနိုင်ငံဟာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံနဲ့အလန်းကွာဝေးနေပြီးတော့ဒီအပိုက်8ပါပြဋ္ဌာန်းချက်တွေနဲ့လုံးဝဆန့်ကျင်နေတယ်ဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်းကိုမြန်မာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ဥပဒေကြောင်းရ Mr. Sticker ကနေပြီးတော့တရားရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြပြီးတော့ရှောက်ထားနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
Contrast, for instance, to Article 33 of the European Convention on Human Rights, the Genocide Convention on this interpretation distinguishes between a broad power to seize the court on the one hand, regulated by Article 8, and a more limited compromissory clause in Article 9 on the other. And it's exactly this difference that explains the fact that Myanmar, while entering a reservation to Article 8 of the Genocide Convention, did not at the same time enter a reservation to Article 9. The effect of the reservation to Article 8 is to preclude the season of the court by any contracting party, that is to say, parties to the Genocide Convention that are not injured states. It thus has the effect to preclude any form of actio popularis by any not specifically affected contracting party to the Genocide Convention. On the other hand, it doesn't preclude the court from exercising jurisdiction, provided that it was seized by an injured state and providing that the court has jurisdiction. Hence, Bangladesh, being the specially affected state, which is another qualification that the Gambia has not challenged during its pleadings, Bangladesh is not barred by the Article 8 reservation from seizing the court on this possible interpretation, since Bangladesh, unlike the Gambia, is not...
Mr. Sika ကနေပြီးတော့အခုမြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ဆက်လက်ရှောက်လဲချက်ပြီးတာကကျွန်တော်တို့ Genocide Convention မှာအပိုက်8နဲ့9ရဲ့ကွဲလဲချက်အပေါ်မှာထောက်ပြပြီးတော့ရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြနေဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာအပိုက်8ရဲ့အနေအထားအရဂမ်ဘီယာဟာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံကိုဘယ်လိုနည်းနဲ့မှတရားစွဲဆိုပိုင်ခွင့်မရှိဘူးဆိုတဲ့အချိန်ဒီပေါ်မှာဥပဒေကြောင်းရရှောက်ထားတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့တကယ်လို့အပိုက်9အရဒီလိုမျိုး Genocide Convention မှာလက်မှတ်ရေးထိုးတဲ့နိုင်ငံအနေနဲ့ဒါတွေကိုလိုက်နာရမယ်ဆိုတာမျိုးကိုလုပ်မယ်ဆိုရင်ဒီဥပဒေရဲ့ဒီဝိဝါဒကွဲပြားစရာကောင်းတဲ့အချက်လက်တွေဟာတကယ်တော့တကယ်အခြေအနေမှန်နေနဲ့ကွဲလဲနှွားနိုင်တယ်ဆိုတဲ့အပေါ်မှာ Mr. Sticker ကနေပြီးတော့ဥပဒေကြောင်းအရမြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့တေချာပဲရုံးတော်ကိုရှင်းလင်းတင်ပြနေတာလည်းဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
And I submit that it is not contrary to the principle of good faith to limit attempts to bring an actio popularis through the making of a reservation to Article 8, given that this court has upheld time and again that Article 9 reservations, which exclude the court's jurisdiction in toto, are permissible under the Genocide Convention. Let us also note that even Professor Sands, who is proud of the concept of actio popularis, accepts that a state may validly accept such a right to bring a case without being specially affected by an alleged treaty violation. So let us assume for a minute that Senegal had entered a reservation when acceding to the United Nations Convention Against Torture to the effect that only injured states may bring a case before the court under Article 30 of that convention. Under those circumstances, any state would have been barred unless the state could claim to be specially affected by Senegal's violations of the Convention Against Torture. And it's exactly the same limited effect that Myanmar's Article 8 reservation has when it comes to the ability of states parties to seize the court with a case under Article 9. Let me end by noting the repeated attempts of Professor Sands to frighten the court as to what might be the possible effects of a decision in this case denying provisional measures, stating that it might put the court in the wilderness for 2 decades. Apart from the fact that, as the saying goes, fear is a bad advisor, it's worth recalling that the court has not shied away from making findings that a state was either not responsible for genocide or that genocide had not happened in the first place, even where those findings...
ဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့မြန်မာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကဆွဆွဲချက်တွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ခိုင်မာပဲတုံ့ပြန်ပြောဆိုပြီးတရားရုံးတော်ကိုရှောက်ထားနေတဲ့အချက်ကတော့ဂမ်ဘီယာနိုင်ငံနဲ့ဘင်္ဂလားဒေ့ရှ်နိုင်ငံရဲ့လှုပ်ဆောင်နိုင်စွမ်းအပေါ်မှာရုံးတော်ကိုရှောက်ထားနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာတကယ်တမ်းတော့အခုဖြစ်တဲ့ပြဿနာပေါ်မှာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံနဲ့အိန္ဒိယနယ်နိမိတ်ချင်းထိစပ်တဲ့ဘင်္ဂလားဒေ့ရှ်နိုင်ငံနဲ့ဂမ်ဘီယာအကြားကွာခြားချက်တွေကိုဦးစားပေးပြောနေတာဖြစ်တယ်လို့ ICJ အနေနဲ့လည်းတကယ်တော့ရခင်ဖြစ်စဉ်တွေပေါ်မှာကင်တွယ်ဆောင်ရွက်မှုနဲ့အခုဆောင်ရွက်မှုပေါ်မှာကွဲလွဲချက်တွေပေါ်မှာထောက်ပြနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်အထူးသဖြင့်တကယ်တမ်းဂမ်ဘီယာအနေနဲ့တရားစွဲဆိုခြင်းနဲ့ဘင်္ဂလားဒေ့ရှ်နိုင်ငံကတရားစွဲဆိုခြင်းပေါ်မှာတကယ်တမ်းမတူညီနိုင်တဲ့အချက်တွေပေါ်မှာ Mr. Sticker ကနေပြီးတော့ရုံးတော်ကိုဥပဒေကြောင်းအရာဥပဒေပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာအချက်လက်တွေနဲ့ဖြစ်တင်ခြင်းမဖြစ်တင်ခြင်းပေါ်မှာရှင်းလင်းပြီးတော့ပြောကြားနေခြင်းလည်းဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
Specially affected states might bring a case against Myanmar provided there's a valid jurisdictional bond under Article 9. And beyond this, Myanmar also accepts that even where a specially affected state such as Bangladesh is not able to bring a case given its own Article 9 reservation, it might still take countermeasures against Myanmar, provided Myanmar were to commit a violation of the Genocide Convention. Mr. President, finally I turn to the wording of the provisional measures requested by the Gambia. Mr. Sands suggested this morning that the provisional measures concerning preservation of evidence and granting access to UN bodies is consistent with the jurisprudence of the court and that it builds on the frontier dispute case. But this was said without analysis. The comparison with that case is not apt. That case, as the court will recall, concerned a dispute between the Republic of Upper Volta.
ဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ Mr. Sticker ကနေဥပဒေကြောင်းအရရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြတဲ့အခါမှာဂမ်ဘီယာက တရားဆွဲဆိုမှုအတွက်ရှောက်ထားချက်တွေထဲမှာပါဝင်တယ်လို့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီး ICJ ရဲ့လှုပ်ဆောင်ချက်တွေအပေါ်မှာပြန်လည်ပြီးတုံ့ပြန်နေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာအထူးသဖြင့်ရှေ့မှာဖြစ်ခဲ့တဲ့အမှုအခင်းတွေ ICJ ဘောကတာဝန်ယူဆောင်ရွက်ခဲ့တဲ့ကိစ္စရပ်တွေမှာ ICJ ဟာကုလသမဂ္ဂရဲ့အဖွဲ့အစည်းတစ်ခုပုံစံမဟုတ်ဘဲနဲ့အင်မတန်မှလွတ်လပ်တဲ့တရားရေးအဖွဲ့အစည်းတစ်ခုအနေနဲ့လှုပ်ဆောင်ခဲ့တဲ့လှုပ်ဆောင်ချက်မျိုးတွေရှိခဲ့တယ်ဒါကြောင့်အခုကိစ္စမှာလည်းဥပဒေကြောင်းအရမမှန်ကန်လှုပ်ဆောင်ဖို့ဆိုတာကိုကျွန်တော်တို့မြန်မာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ရုံးတော်ကိုရှောက်ထားပြီးတင်ပြနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
There was nothing novel in the provisional measures ordered in the frontier dispute case. They were framed with care to ensure balance between the parties and to avoid prejudging the outcome of the case. Their object was to seek to preserve the rights of both parties. There's nothing in the order which paves the way for the use of the court's limited jurisdiction under Article 41 to impose on the parties new obligations under international law. Indeed, the court was at pains to emphasise in the frontier dispute case that the court is not empowered at the stage of provisional measures to modify the situation which prevailed before the armed action leading to the filing of the parties' request. The court's powers are confined to safeguarding existing rights on each party, not imposing new obligations. The use of provisional measures to create new substantive obligations on member states goes beyond the power in Article 41 to preserve the respective rights of parties to a dispute and has no support in the jurisprudence of this court. As was noted by this court in its judgment in Legrand, the power of the court under Article 41 to indicate provisional measures is based on the necessity when
ဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့ Mr. က Sticker ကနေပြီးတော့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ရုံးတော်ကိုရှောက်ထားတဲ့အချက်မှာဂမ်ဘီယာအနေနဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံကိစ္စရပ်နဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးရုံးတော်ကိုမနက်ကရှင်းပြခဲ့တဲ့အခါဒီမှာတက်သေးတွေအထောက်ထားတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့သေချာဆောင်ရွက်ဖို့ပြောပေမဲ့တကယ်တမ်းကျတော့သူတို့ပြောနေတဲ့အကြောင်းအရာတွေဟာဥပဒေပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာနဲ့တော်၎င်းမြန်မာနိုင်ငံရဲ့လက်ရှိဖြစ်နေတဲ့အခြေအနေတော့၎င်းဓာတ်ရိုက်သက်ဆိုင်ခြင်းမရှိဘူးဆိုတာကိုဥပဒေကြောင်းအရ Mr. Sticker ကနေပြီးတော့ရုံးတော်ကိုတေချာပဲအကြောင်းအရာတွေနဲ့ရှင်းလင်းပြီးတော့ပြောပြနေတာလည်းဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
Therefore, the court must carefully consider the consequences that might follow were it to indicate the measures sought. And it's therefore submitted that the court should be wary of indicating provisional measures in cases where there's a complex situation on the ground in relation to which various diplomatic and practical initiatives are in play, without sufficient understanding of the effects that such provisional measures might have. For instance, whatever the reasons may be for the lack of significant repatriation so far, there is widespread support for the principle that repatriations should occur. It must be questioned what would be the effect on such support of a finding by this court that those returning to Myanmar would be at imminent risk of genocide. The provisional measures hearing, by its nature, is limited in scope and does not afford an opportunity for the court to weigh all the advantages and all the disadvantages of different courses of action. Where there is an urgent need for something specific to preserve the rights of a party, the appropriateness of a provisional measure focused on that specific matter may be obvious. However, the court is simply not in a position to make such assessments in relation to measures expressed in broad and general terms, the precise implications of which in practice cannot be known. I elaborated yesterday on the problems of the provisional measures proposed by the Gambia in this case. Mr. President, members of the court, that concludes my observations. I would now invite you to call on Professor Chavez.
I thank Mr. Staker for his statement, and I shall now give the floor to Professor Chavez. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving me the floor again in these proceedings on provisional measures. Mr. President, Your Excellencies, there have been many references to the fact-finding mission set up by the Human Rights Council. Indeed, the case set before you by the Gambia relies essentially.
အခုဆိုလို့ရှိရင် Mr. Shabak ကမြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ဆက်လက်ခြေပနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာဆောင်းတော့က Mr. Sticker ကနေပြီးတော့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံအတွက်ပြန်လည်ပြီးတော့ဥပဒေကြောင်းကရှင်းလင်းတဲ့အခါမှာနောက်ဆုံးအနေနဲ့ထည့်သွင်းပြောသွားတာကတော့ ICJ အနေနဲ့အဆုံးသက်ဆုံးဖြတ်ချက်တွေမတိုင်ခင်မှာကနဦးဂျာပြက်အမိန့်အနေနဲ့ချမှတ်မှုတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ထည့်သွင်းပြောကြားခဲ့တာဖြစ်ပါတယ်တကယ်တော့လက်ရှိလုပ်ငန်းစဉ်တွေပေါ်မှာမထိခိုက်စေအောင်ဒီဂျာပြက်ဆုံးဖြတ်ချက်တွေဟာလက်ရှိဆောင်ရွက်မှုတွေပေါ်မှာအနှောက်အယှက်မဖြစ်အောင်ဘလို့လာရတဲ့အဟန့်အတားတွေမဖြစ်အောင်လှုပ်ဆောင်လေးရှိတယ်ဆိုတဲ့အချက်ပေါ်မှာမူတည်ပြီးတော့ Mr. Sticker ကပြောကြားသွားတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာလက်ရှိမှာတော့ Mr. Shabak ကမြန်မာနိုင်ငံအတွက်ဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့ရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
Observation as a way of bolstering the argument favoring provisional measures. This morning, it was suggested that I had actually not studied the report adequately and that I had missed some important paragraphs and relevant portions. I would not want the court to think that I made such a statement here without thoroughly reviewing the fact-finding mission report. I've studied that report. The recent one is about 200 pages long, as well as the longer one from the previous year, more than 400 pages in length. I've read every paragraph. Mr. Reichler referred to paragraph 9, where the fact-finding mission set out its summary explanation for why it thought genocidal intent was strengthening in 2019 compared to 2018. Members of the court may already have noticed that when he actually recited the reasons, the word continuation appeared more than once. Paragraph 9 speaks of, and I quote, continued denial of their citizenship and ethnic identity, the living conditions to which it subjects them, its failure to reform laws that subjugate the Rohingya people, the continuation of hate speech directed at the Rohingya, its prior commission of genocide, and its disregard for accountability. We find all of these points in the 2018 report. There's nothing new. They are the same allegations. The indicators that were pointed to in the 2018 report are the same that are repeated in the 2019 report. If anything, the 2018 report, with its description of the conflict in 2017, of the deaths, of the abuses, of all of those allegations, is much worse in the 2018 report than in the 2019 report. This explains my conclusion that it was only the opinion of the fact-finding mission to use the label genocide and to affirm that there was genocidal intent that strengthened. And my suggestion to the court is that it not take into account the claim in the report of 2019 that the genocidal intent that it purports to identify has strengthened. Mr. President, members of the court, this morning we were shown slides relating to the position of the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. There were two slides that were shown by my recollection, and the implications seem to be
Professor Shabak ကတော့ရှင်းပါတယ်မြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့တုံ့ပြန်ရှင်းလင်းတဲ့အခါမှာမနေ့ပိုင်းကဂမ်ဘီယာနိုင်ငံကတုံ့ပြန်ရှင်းလင်းတဲ့အခါမှာကုလသမဂ္ဂရဲ့စုံစမ်းစစ်ဆေးရေးအဖွဲ့ရဲ့စုံစမ်းစစ်ဆေးတွေ့ရှိချက်ပုံမှာပဲအခြေခံပြီးတော့ပြောကြားနေတယ်ဆိုတဲ့ပုံမှာ Mr. Shabak ကပြောနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်တကယ်တော့ကုလသမဂ္ဂစုံစမ်းစစ်ဆေးရေးအဖွဲ့တစ်ခုတည်းပုံမှာအခြေခံပြီးပြောကြားနေတာဟာတကယ်တော့တင်းလျော်ခြင်းမရှိဘူးအခြေအနေမှန်နေနဲ့တကယ်တော့အများကြီးနှီးသက်နေတာမဟုတ်ဘူးဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ Mr. Shabak ကဂမ်ဘီယာရဲ့မနက်ကဆွဆွဲချက်တွေပုံမှာပြန်လည်ပြီးခြေပနေရလဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
is fluid and that there is ongoing and meaningful engagement between the parties attempting to deal with a difficult situation. In fact, the UNDP, United Nations Development Programme, and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, in the most recent report of November 2019, outline the main challenges facing communities in Rakhine State and the need to address these in order to repatriate those who are displaced. The report indicated 3 short-term next steps that the parties need to undertake. And the UN High Commissioner for Refugees expressed continued commitment to assess the needs of those who are displaced and how they might be met by the government of Myanmar. This morning, Council for the Gambia produced a news clipping indicating a deployment of troops before the events of late August 2017. The implication being that the Army's operations on 25 August 2019 and the subsequent days had been planned well in advance. But whatever the time of deployment, the fact remains that there were more than 30 attacks launched simultaneously on the 25th of August 2017. And these were obviously not planned by the authorities of Myanmar. Let me also remind the court that the internal armed conflict started with the earlier ARSA attacks in October of 2016, 10 months before the deployment that was referred to in the newspaper clipping shown to you this morning. It should go without saying that there would have been several deployments and rotations of personnel during this period. There is nothing sinister about this. If anything, the presentation of such a news clipping shows the risks associated with a selective approach to the facts in Rakhine State. Counsel for the applicant made many comments.
Mr. Shabaka အခုလက်ရှိရုံးတော်ကိုဆက်လက်ပြီးတင်ပြနေတာကတော့ဒီကျွန်တော်တို့အခုမြန်မာနိုင်ငံရခိုင်ပြည်နယ်မှာဖြစ်ပွားခဲ့တဲ့ဖြစ်စဉ်တွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကဆွဆွဲချက်တွေဟာလွန်ခဲ့တဲ့နှစ်ကအခြေအနေပေါ်မှာအခြေခံပြီးသူတို့ရရှိတဲ့အကြောင်းတွေကိုပဲပြောကြားနေတာဖြစ်ပြီးတကယ်တမ်းကျတော့အခုမြန်မာနိုင်ငံအနေနဲ့လက်ရှိ ICJ ရုံးတော်မှာလာရောက်ပြီးရှင်းလင်းပြနေတာဟာလွန်ခဲ့တဲ့လအပိုင်းခြားအနေငယ်အတွင်းကအခြေအနေတွေပေါ်မှာမူတည်ပြီးမြန်မာနိုင်ငံကဒီကိစ္စရပ်တွေကိုဘယ်လိုကင်တွယ်ဖြေရှင်းနေတယ်ဘယ်လိုမျိုးကောင်းပေါ်ဆောင်ရွက်နေတယ်ဆိုတာတွေပေါ်မှာအရှိတရားပေါ်မှာအခြေခံပြီးဆောင်ရွက်နေတာဖြစ်တယ်ဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်းကိုလည်းကွဲပြားခြားနားချက်တွေကိုရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြနေရလဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
To the part that the Gambia had virtually ignored in its submissions and what is really the essence of this case, which is the mental element. This morning, the applicant went through rather methodically a list of indicators that was considered by the fact-finding mission in reaching its conclusion about genocidal intent. This list appears to be derived from a detailed matrix which has been prepared by the UN Office on Genocide Prevention, presided over by the Special Advisor on the Prevention of Genocide. The relevant document was entitled Framework of Analysis for Atrocity Crimes, a Tool for Prevention, and it's referred to in several paragraphs of the 2019 report. This confirms, by the way, that the list of indicators developed by the Office on Genocide Prevention was in fact inspired by this matrix of factors, the framework of analysis adopted in New York by the Office on Genocide Prevention. I checked my records yesterday evening to confirm that I had personally assisted in the preparation of this document, the framework of analysis, joining the 2 special advisors and the professionals at sessions where these were discussed and developed. I've always been intrigued by the list. People engaged in the field of genocide have struggled for many years to see if a formula, some sort of framework could be developed that would identify the potential, the warning signs of genocide. It's always a problem because the lists that are prepared, the attempts of preparing a list, inevitably consist of long recitals of human rights violations that indeed may be present and in fact are inevitably present if a genocide takes place, but that are also present in so many other environments and so many other contexts where genocide has not taken place, is not taking place, and is highly, highly unlikely to take place. These lists of indicators are very long. There are many countries represented in this room. I dare say that virtually every country where people in this room come from will tick several of the boxes on those lists of indicators of genocidal risk factors. One need only to confirm this read the reports of the treaty bodies of the United Nations and the reports under the Universal Periodic Review submitted to the Human Rights Council. The Special Advisor uses the list to identify situations. I mentioned yesterday, and it was not challenged, contested, or explained by the counsel for the applicant this morning, that the Special Advisor has not referred to Myanmar for 15 months, and in that same time has issued declarations on several other situations in the world that are very far from being situations where there is a serious risk of genocide.
လက်ရှိအခြေအနေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ Mr. Shafak ကရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြနေတဲ့အခါမှာမနေ့ကတော့ဂမ်ဘီယာကနေပြီးတော့ပြောပါတယ်မြန်မာနိုင်ငံကလူမျိုးတုံးတပ်ဖြတ်မှုတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့လှုပ်ဆောင်ချက်တွေရှိတယ်ဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်းပြောကြားချက်တွေမှာတကယ်တမ်းကျတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာပေါ်ပေါက်ခဲ့တဲ့ကိစ္စရပ်တွေမှာအာဆာအကြမ်းဖက်အဖွဲ့တွေရဲ့လှုပ်ဆောင်ချက်တွေအချိန်မှာလူမျိုးရေးတပ်ဖွဲ့ဝင်တွေရဲ့လှုပ်ဆောင်နေရတဲ့အနေအထားတွေကိုပြန်လည်ပြောပြနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ကုလသမဂ္ဂရဲ့စုံစမ်းစစ်ဆေးရေးအဖွဲ့တွေဟာဘယ်လိုမျိုးအချက်လက်ကိန်းဂဏန်းတွေပေါ်မှာအခြေခံပြီးတော့ဒါတွေကိုစမ်းစစ်တယ်လေဆိုတဲ့အချက်တွေပေါ်မှာတကယ်တမ်းကျတော့ Mr. Shafak ကသူကိုယ်တိုင်ပဲကုလသမဂ္ဂစုံစမ်းစစ်ဆေးရေးအဖွဲ့တွေအတွက်လိုအပ်တဲ့ဆောင်ရွက်ချက်တွေမှာသူကိုယ်တိုင်လည်းပါဝင်ပြီးတော့ဆောင်ရွက်ခဲ့တယ်ဒါကြောင့်သူပို့ပြီးတော့သိရှိနေတဲ့အချက်ပေါ်မှာရုံးတော်ကိုဂမ်ဘီယာရဲ့တင်ပြချက်တွေနဲ့ကိုယ်လက်ချက်တွေပေါ်အခြေအနေတွေပေါ်မှာတရားရုံးတော်သိရှိနိုင်အောင်ရှောက်ထားပြီးတင်ပြနေရလဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
But debates rage about how robust should be the legal intervention to address it. And some countries insist that it may even fall within the protected domain of freedom of expression. As an example, Council referred to a Facebook page from 2017. We did not debate this on Tuesday and Wednesday, although it was a significant feature in the fact-finding mission's report of 2018 and might well have been an object of some discussion in the first phase of the proceedings. The fact-finding mission each year has issued a short report as well as a long report. I've referred to the long reports, consisting of hundreds of pages, but there's a much shorter report issued each year of about 20 pages. And the reason for the long report, as I'm sure many members of the court are aware, is to circumvent the rule within the United Nations on the length of reports. So the short report is the official document, the one that is formally presented to the Human Rights Council. The short report in 2018 had a very summary discussion of genocide to which I referred the court in my presentation yesterday. I had attempted to draw the court's attention to the relevant paragraphs because of the hesitant way in which the mission referred to genocide. In its paragraphs dealing with war crimes and crimes against humanity, it was quite unequivocal and said war crimes and crimes against humanity had been committed. Whereas when it turned to genocide, it was less certain, less definitive, saying that this was something to be determined by a court. In its explanation for genocidal intent, and this is where we return to the hate speech issue, it referred to only one fact, which was a reference to the Tatmadaw commander, the military commander-in-chief, to clearance operations, and it cited this famous Facebook post. In discussing the inferences of intent at paragraph 86 of the 2018 report, it recalled, and I quote, the statement made by the Tatmadaw commander-in-chief that the clearance operation is not a reference to ARSA, but to the, quote, unfinished job, unquote, of solving the, quote, long-standing Bengali problem. The paragraph then has a reference right in the text to paragraph 35, except when one turns to paragraph 35, it doesn't quite say the same thing.
Mr. Shabaka နေပြီးမြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကနေဆက်လက်ခြေပနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာမနေ့ကတော့ဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ဥပဒေကြောင်းအရပြန်လည်ပြီးတော့ထုတ်ပြပြောဆိုတာတွေရှိပါတယ်အထူးသဖြင့်တော့ဒီအမုန်းစကားပွားတာတွေနောက်တစ်ခါလိန်ချမ်းဘက်ကိစ္စရပ်တွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့ဒီထုတ်ပြပြောဆိုတာတွေရှိပါတယ်ဒီကိစ္စနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီး Mr. Shabaka ပြောနေတာကတော့တကယ်တော့အမုန်းစကားပွားတယ်ဆိုတဲ့ကိစ္စရပ်မျိုးတွေဟာလူမှုကွန်ရက်ပေါ်မှာမူတည်ပြီးတော့တကဘာလုံးအတိုင်းတာရပေါ်ပေါက်နေတဲ့ကိစ္စရပ်တွေဖြစ်တယ်ဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်းတကယ်လို့ဒီစကားရပ်တွေပေါ်မှာထိချုံမှုတွေပြုလုပ်မယ်ဆိုရင် freedom of expression အစရှိတဲ့ဒီလွတ်လပ်စွာပြောဆိုပိုင်ခွင့်ပေါ်မှာဘယ်လောက်ထိတွားပြီးတက်ရောက်နေမလဲဆိုတာတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ Mr. Shapak ကပို့ပြီးတော့ဒီပြည့်ပြည့်စုံစုံနဲ့တင်ပြနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကတော့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာပေါ်ပေါက်ခဲ့တဲ့ပြည်ထနာရေးနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးအမုန်းစကားပွားတာတွေအလိန်ကျန်းဖတ်တာတွေအစရှိတဲ့ဟာတွေကိုဆွဆွဲချက်ပြောဆိုခဲ့တဲ့အပေါ်မှာဒါဟာကမ္ဘာလုံးဆိုင်ရာအတိုင်းအတာနဲ့ဒါဖြစ်တတ်တဲ့သဘောတဘာဝကို Mr. Shapak ကအချက်လက်တွေနဲ့ပြန်ပြီးတော့ရှင်းလင်းပြီးတော့ရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြနေရလဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
753 of the long report that accompanies the short report. Again, there is no reference to clearance operations. All I can say is that the fact-finding mission wasn't very careful in its reference to the Facebook post, despite the fact that this allegation seemed to it to be crucial, central to its claim of genocidal intent. Be that as it may, the statement on the Facebook post is one to which many different meanings can be attached. It certainly couldn't be described as hate speech. Not the sort of thing that we hear about circulating on Facebook and other social media in many parts of the world. May I remind the court that in the past it has also been presented with allegations of hate speech or of genocide incitement made to support charges that the Genocide Convention has been breached. In the Croatia versus Serbia case, counsel for the respondent, dealing with the counterclaim by Serbia, referred to the famous, the notorious Brioni conference, during which the president of Croatia had made statements that left open a possible interpretation that they were genocidal in nature. And this court dismissed the argument, recognizing that under the circumstances and taking into account the context, it was unreasonable to draw such a conclusion. And I would submit that the same should be the case with regard to the Facebook post, presented this morning as an example of hate speech, and in the report of the fact-finding mission as evidence of genocidal intent. There are no doubt many examples of hate speech circulating on social media within Myanmar. Counsel for the applicant referred to this in the Tuesday session, but left, in my view, the impression that was not sufficiently clear for the court that these were examples from private individuals. This was not government hate speech. These were individuals sending tweet messages and so on social media. And again, this is a phenomenon that is not reserved to Myanmar, of private individuals indulging in forms of hate speech through social media and on the internet. And I am sure that some of it goes on in the very city in which we sit today. Myanmar is not an exception to this, but nor does it.
မနေ့ကဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကိုထပ်မံပြီးတော့ဆွဆွဲတုံ့ပြန်ပြောဆိုချက်တဲ့အချက်လက်တွေပုံမှန်မူတည်ပြီးတော့ Mr. Shapak ကတချက်ချင်းစီပြန်ပြီးတော့ရုံးတော်ကိုရှင်းလင်းနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်အထူးသဖြင့်တပ်မတော်ကဝေယူချုပ်ရဲ့ Facebook page အပိတ်မခံခင်ရအထိပြောဆိုသုံးနှုန်းတာတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့မနေ့ကဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကတင်ပြသွားတာတွေရှိပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ Mr. Shapak အခုပြောနေတာကတော့ဘင်္ဂါလီကိစ္စနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့ရခင် NLD ဆိုရမတိုင်ခင်အစိုးရလက်ထက်ကလည်းဒီကိစ္စတွေကိုရှင်းလင်းဖို့ဖြေရှင်းဖို့ကြိုးစားခဲ့ရဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်းလက်ရှိအစိုးရလက်ထက်မှာလည်းပြည်လည်အောင်ဆောင်ရွက်ဖို့လှုံ့ဆော်နေတယ်ဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်းတွေကိုပြောကြားခဲ့ပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ကုလသမဂ္ဂစုံစမ်းစစ်ဆေးရေးအဖွဲ့တွေအနေနဲ့နေမြေရှင်းလင်းရေးပေါ့အထူးသဖြင့်တပ်မတော်ပါဝင်လုံခြုံရေးတပ်ဖွဲ့ဝင်တွေရဲ့နေမြေရှင်းလင်းရေးကိစ္စတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့တော့တိတိကျကျဖော်ပြထားခြင်းမရှိဘူးဒီလိုမျိုးတိတိကျကျဖော်ပြထားခြင်းမရှိပေမဲ့ဒီချက်လက်တွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ဂမ်ဘီယာအနေနဲ့ဒါကိုရုံးတော်မှာတက်တည်ပြဖို့စူးစမ်းခဲ့တဲ့အနေအထားရှိတယ်သို့တော်သူတို့ ရဲ့တင်ပြချက်တွေဟာတိကျကျတင်ပြနိုင်ခြင်းမရှိဘူးဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ ICJ ရုံးတော်ကတရားသူကြီးတွေနားလည်နိုင်အောင်အချက်လက်တွေနဲ့ရှင်းလင်းပြီးတော့တင်ပြနေရလဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
In many parts of the world, I should point out that Article 6 of the Genocide Convention specifically contemplates the form of accountability that Counsel for the Gambia this morning dismissed. Article 6 of the Convention states, persons charged with genocide or any of the other acts enumerated in Article 3 shall be tried by a competent tribunal of the state in the territory of which the act was committed, or by such international penal tribunal as may have jurisdiction with respect to those contracting parties which shall have accepted its jurisdiction. And we know the answer to that criterion, which is not fulfilled in this case. It's clear that the Convention creates a strong presumption that it's in fact the state where the crimes took place, where the crimes should be prosecuted. That's the state that bears the responsibility. Some new documents were put into the judge's folder today and were suggested to have some relevance to the proceedings. The first, a press release from the US Department of the Treasury that lists some military leaders in Myanmar, as well as individuals in other countries. I'm not quite sure from the remarks of counsel for the Gambia what exactly this was intended to prove, because I didn't find any references to genocide in the document. I'm struck by the fact that this was all presented in the context of a discussion of accountability, and it was related somehow to the manner in which a pardon had been given to those convicted with regard to summary execution. Of course, this issue was addressed very directly by the agent for Myanmar in yesterday's hearing, and you will recall that she expressed the fact that many in Myanmar were dismayed by the pardon. The reference by Mr. Reichler to the US Treasury as a moral authority.
ဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့ Mr. Shepard ကခိုင်ခိုင်မာမာပဲပြောဆိုနေတဲ့အချက်ကတော့ hate speech ပေါ့အမုန်းစကားပွားအမုန်းစကားတွေပြောဆိုနေတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ရှင်းလင်းနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်တကယ်တော့ Gambia ဘက်ကဆွဆွဲတယ်လို့ဒီ Bengali ပဲဆိုရိုဟင်ဂျာပဲပြောပေါ့နော်ဒီကိစ္စချက်တွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့တူတယောက်ချင်းစီကပြောနေတဲ့အမုန်းစကားပွားတယ်ဆိုတာတွေကတကယ်တော့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံအနေနဲ့ genocide လို့ဆိုတဲ့လူမျိုးသုံးတပ်ဖြတ်မှုတွေနဲ့တိုက်ရိုက်သက်ဆိုင်ခြင်းမရှိဘူးဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်းကိုအချက်လက်တွေနဲ့ရှင်းလင်းနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒါအပြင်ဒီလိုမျိုးနိုင်ငံရေးရတဲ့နိုင်ငံနဲ့တနိုင်ငံကုလူပြီးတော့နိုင်ငံသားဖြစ်ခွင့်ရှိခြင်းမရှိခြင်းဆိုတာတွေကမြန်မာနိုင်ငံတနိုင်ငံတည်းသာမကကမ္ဘာနိုင်ငံအချို့မှာကြုံတွေ့နေရတဲ့ပြဿနာဖြစ်ပြီးတော့ဒါတွေကသက်ဆိုင်ရာနိုင်ငံရဲ့နိုင်ငံသားဖြစ်ခွင့်ပြုခြင်းမပြုခြင်းဆိုတဲ့ဆိုင်ရာသက်ဆိုင်ရာနိုင်ငံသားဖြစ်ခွင့်ပြုခြင်းဥပဒေတွေနဲ့သက်ဆိုင်နေတယ်ဆိုတာကိုအချက်လက်တွေနဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ Gambia ရဲ့ဆိုချက်ပုံမှာ Mr. Shepard ကနေပြီးတော့ရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြနေတာပဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
Why did you and the people in the courtroom have to see those pictures? Let me say a word about the issue of the mass graves, because I was the one who raised the point in yesterday's proceedings. I made it in the context of discussing the total number of deaths in the recent period. And I noted, and this is in the transcript, page 37, paragraph 48, and I quote, "The fact-finding mission, moreover, provides numerous aerial photographs, yet nowhere does it point to any evidence of mass graves." In his remarks this morning, Mr. Reichler translated this sentence into the suggestion that I said there are no mass graves. As you can see, I never said there were no mass graves. I said there's no mention of them by the fact-finding mission with regard to the aerial photographs. So we were pointed today to a news report from AP that apparently located 5 mass graves, although the news report does not clarify exactly where they were or how many bodies we're talking about. But that being said, why did the fact-finding mission not refer to the mass graves with reference to the AP story? Why is this not mentioned in the report of the fact-finding mission? Yesterday I said that this was the first application of the Genocide Convention where an estimate of the total number of victims was not provided by the applicant. The silence of the applicant in the oral proceedings continued into the second round. You may recall that yesterday I anticipated that my colleagues from the Gambia would answer that it's not a numbers game. And indeed, that point was made by Mr. Sands. But beyond that, the only contribution to the discussion was the remark that there are ample authorities that an attack on a relatively small number can be sustained as genocide. The example, it wasn't given this morning, but it's in the footnote of the transcript, which we received a little over an hour ago, is to the Srebrenica massacre. The reference is in the Karadzic decision and in the judgment of this court. That's all. There are no other authorities. I don't believe they exist. Recently, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia attempted, as he has done on other occasions, to invoke the Srebrenica precedent in order to charge the crime of genocide with respect to much lower levels of killing than at Srebrenica. Levels of killing similar to the ones that were mentioned on Tuesday, drawn from the report of the fact-finding missions, and the judges have consistently refused to follow him. A final point, and this is a bit awkward, personally painful for me, is the reference to an interview that I did with Al Jazeera several years ago. I suppose I should be flattered that counsel for the applicant thinks my views are so authoritative, although I suspect the intent was more to embarrass myself or my client. I did, as I recall, a 1-hour interview with a journalist from Al Jazeera. 2 clips of a matter of seconds were taken from the interview. The journalist persistently tried to get me to apply the word genocide to the situation in Myanmar at the time. I believe it was done in late 2012 or perhaps the beginning of 2013. And I just as consistently refused, because I've never said that that genocide was taking place in Myanmar. I have never said that. The journalist then posed a hypothetical question, saying that if certain things were established, would it be frivolous to use the word? And it's to that I answered no. My views will be a lot clearer if we could get a copy of the tape of the entire interview. But it's hardly important. Really, the issue before this court is not what I or anyone else may have said or thought about genocide. It's about the facts, about the international law, and the interpretation that this court gives to the Genocide Convention. Mr. President, members of the court, may I now turn to the issue of the content of the provisional measures with reference, as has been made by counsel on several occasions, to the 1993 orders of the court. The first in April 1993, and then the second in September 1993, which really just confirmed the order of April 1993. These orders, of course, ultimately led to findings of the court in the 2007 judgment. I think it's important in understanding the weight that should be given to the orders of 1993, the way in which we understand them, to appreciate the context in terms of the legal development.
Mr. Shabaka ဆက်လက်ပြောကြားနေတာကတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့မနက်ပိုင်းမှာဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ဒီနေ့ရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြသွားတာရှိပါတယ်အဲ့ဒါကတော့ဘာလဲဆိုတော့ writer သတင်းဌာနကဖော်ပြခဲ့တဲ့အင်းတင်ရွာမှာလူအစုလိုက်အပြုံလိုက်တပ်ဖြတ်မှုတွေရှိခဲ့တယ်ဆိုတဲ့ကိစ္စရပ်ပေါ်မှာ Mr. Shabaka ပြောတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်အဲ့တော့သူတို့တင်ပြသွားချက်အရာအင်းတင်ရွာကိစ္စဆိုတာဒါဖော်ပြခဲ့တာတွေ့ပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီကိစ္စနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့လည်းကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီလုံလောက်တဲ့လိုအပ်တဲ့အရေးယူမှုတွေဆောင်ရွက်ခဲ့ပြီးသားဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ဒီကိစ္စရဲ့ပမာဏတည်ဆုံမှုအနေအထားဟာတကယ်တော့လူမျိုးသုံးတပ်ဖြတ်မှုလို့ပြောဆိုဖို့အင်မတန်ခက်ခဲတယ်ဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်းဒါအပြင်မနက်ကတော့ကဂမ်ဘီယာကရှင်းလင်းသွားတဲ့အထဲမှာ AP သတင်းဌာနက900နေရာပေါ့နော်လူမျိုးလုံးသက်သက်မှုတွေရှိတယ်လူတွေကိုမြုပ်နှံထားတယ်တပ်ဖြတ်ထားတယ်ဆိုပြီးဆွဆွချက်တွေရှိပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ AP သတင်းဌာနကဖော်ပြတယ်လို့ပဲပြောပြီးတော့တိတိကျကျမန်ရှင်းလုံးနိုင်ခဲ့တာမရှိဘူးဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီး Mr. Shabaka က ပြန်လဲထောက်ပြနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
In 1993 to see just how summary they were, how quickly the proceedings took place, how the issue of whether provisional measures order should be proposed or not was not really contested because both sides asked for it. Both sides. So there was nobody there arguing that maybe it wasn't appropriate and raising some of the concerns in such circumstances to which Mr. Saker referred only a few minutes ago.
ဒါပြင်ဂမ်ဘီယာအနေနဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံပေါ်မှာလူမျိုးတုံးတပ်ဖြတ်မှုတွေရှိနေလို့ဆွဆွဲတယ် အင်းတင်ရွာကိစ္စကိုနမူနာပြတယ် AP ကဖော်ပြချက်တွေကိုပြောတယ်ဆိုပေမဲ့တကယ်တမ်းရှေ့မှာ ICJ ကကင်တွယ်ဆောင်ရွက်ခဲ့တဲ့လူမျိုးတုံးတပ်ဖြတ်မှုဆိုတဲ့ခေါင်းစဉ်အောက်ကဖော်ပြတဲ့ကိန်းဂဏန်းတွေနဲ့ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဒါဟာတကယ်တမ်းကျတော့အဲ့လောက်ပြောရလောက်စရာအခြေအနေတွေမဟုတ်ဘူးတိကျမှုမရှိဘူးဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီး Mr. Shepard ကပြန်လည်ပြီးခြေပနေရလဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
History of the convention and the notion of genocide in order to illustrate this point. Yesterday, I had wanted to mention an anniversary, as Council did on the 10th of December, mentioning that it was Human Rights Day. Yesterday, the 11th of December, was the 73rd anniversary of the genocide resolution of 1946 that ultimately led to the adoption of the convention itself. I was concerned yesterday that I'd run out of time. I'm not so worried about that today. To understand why the definition of genocide is narrow, I'm not talking about the interpretation, I'm talking just about the text. We need to go back 75 years to the London Conference when the concept of crimes against humanity was codified for the purpose of prosecution in the Nuremberg Tribunal. Much has been written about this, including a wonderful book by someone who's here in the courtroom, Philippe Sand's book, East-West Street, explaining the major contribution of the Nuremberg Tribunal to the progressive development of international law. When he reported back to President Truman, the prosecutor, Robert Jackson, who was also a justice of the US Supreme Court, said, and I quote, "The most significant result of applying these concepts are to outlaw aggression and to condemn the notion of persecution of minorities, clearing the path to war." Note that Robert Jackson refers not to the persecution of minorities as such, but to the more limited purpose of clearing the road to war. And to understand what he meant, we have to consult the transcript of the London Conference. There, discussing the scope of the crimes against humanity, Jackson said, and I quote, "Ordinarily, we do not consider that acts of a government towards its citizens warrant our interference. We have some regrettable circumstances in our own country in which minorities are unfairly treated. We think it's justifiable that we interfere or attempt to bring retribution only because the concentration camps were in pursuit of a common plan or enterprise of making unjust or illegal war in which we became involved." Raphael Lemkin, about whom we spoke.
ဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့ Mr. Shepard ကရုံးတော်ကိုရှင်းပြနေတာကတော့ genocide ဆိုတဲ့ကိစ္စရဲ့ပုံမှာအဓိကထားပြီးပြောနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်လူမျိုးတုံးတပ်ဖြတ်မှုဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးသူကတိကျကျရှင်းလင်းနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်တကယ်တော့ပြီးခဲ့တဲ့ဒီ Savia ကိစ္စလိုဟာမျိုးတွေပေါ်မှာဥပမာထားပြီးတော့ genocide လူမျိုးတုံးတပ်ဖြတ်မှုဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်လို့ဘယ်လောက်ထိလူမျိုးတတ်မှတ်ဖို့ဆိုတာဘယ်လောက်ထိလိုအပ်တယ်လဲဘယ်လောက်ထိအရေးပါတယ်လဲဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတမိုင်းဆိုင်ရာအချက်လက်တွေပုံမှာမူတည်ပြီးတော့ဘာကြောင့်လူမျိုးတုံးတပ်ဖြတ်မှုလို့တတ်မှတ်ခဲ့ကြတာတယ်လဲဒီကိစ္စပေါ်မှာလည်းအဲ့လောက်ထိတတ်မှတ်ဖို့လိုချင်းမလိုချင်းပုံမှာဒါ Mr. Shepard ကတမိုင်းကြောင်းဆိုင်ရာအထောက်အထားတွေပုံမှာမူတည်ပြီးတော့ဥပဒေကြောင်းအရရုံးတော်ကိုပြန်လည်ပြီးတော့ရှင်းပြနေရလဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာဘာကြောင့်လဲဆိုတော့ဂမ်ဘီယာအနေနဲ့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံပေါ်မှာလူမျိုးတုံးတပ်ဖြတ်မှုဆိုတဲ့ဆိုတဲ့ချက်အပေါ်မှာအဓိကထားတင်ပြထားတာဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက် Mr. Shepard ကတမိုင်းကြောင်းဆိုင်ရာအချက်လက်တွေဥပဒေပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာအချက်လက်တွေနဲ့ ICJ ကချိုးချခင်ကင်တွယ်ဖြစ်ရှင်းခဲ့တဲ့အမှုတွေပေါ်မှာမူတည်ပြီးဥပမာဥပဒေရတွေနဲ့စနစ်တကျရှင်းလင်းပြီးတော့တင်ပြနေရလဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
Recognizing genocide as a crime under international law, that can be committed in peacetime as well as in time of war. In November 1946, the resolution was proposed by the Cuban ambassador, Ernesto de Higo, and he said in his speech in the Sixth Committee of the General Assembly that, quote, at the Nuremberg trial, it was not possible to prosecute genocide committed in peacetime because it was committed before the war. And he said, fearing that such a crime may remain unpunished, owing to the principle nullum crimen sine lege, the representative of Cuba asks that genocide be declared a crime under international law. And so there were two resolutions adopted 73 years ago. Resolution 95, confirming the principles that were established in the charter of the tribunal and in the judgment, and Resolution 96 on the subject of genocide, the crime of genocide. It was to fill, resolution number 96, as the Cuban ambassador explained, was to fill a gap in Resolution 95, the gap of crimes against humanity. But the gap was only partially filled in 1948 with the adoption of the Convention. The Convention made clear that it was applicable to peacetime as well as wartime, in effect answering Lemkin's concern.
အခုမြစ်စဘက်ကရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြနေတာကတော့တကယ်တော့ဒီ genocide လို့ဆိုတဲ့လူမျိုးတုံးတပ်ဖြတ်မှုဆိုတာဘယ်လိုအကြောင်းအရာတွေကိုပေါ်မူတည်ပြီးတော့ဥပဒေပညာရှင်တွေ ICJ တရားရုံးကတရားသူကြီးတွေကသုံးသပ်ခဲ့တယ်ဆုံးဖြတ်ခဲ့တယ်တတ်မှတ်ခဲ့တယ်ဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးဒီတမိုင်းကြောင်းဆိုင်ရာအထောက်အထားတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ဘယ်နိုင်ငံတွေကဘယ်လိုအဖြစ်အပျက်တွေဖြစ်ခဲ့တယ်ဆိုခဲ့တယ်genocide ဆိုတာဘယ်လိုဟာဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့သူတိတိကျကျပဲရှင်းလင်းနေတာပါအဓိကဆိုလိုချင်တဲ့သဘောကတော့လူမျိုးတုံးသက်သက်မှုဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့ဘာကြောင့်ဘလို့အခြေအနေတွေကြောင့်တတ်မှတ်တယ်လဲဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့သူကရုံးတော်ကိုရှင်းပြနေရလဲဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
Was the application filed before this court and the issuance of the provisional measures orders of March 1993 and or of April 93 and of September 93, the establishment of the Yugoslavia Tribunal in May of 1993, and the conclusion of the work of the International Law Commission on a draft statute for a permanent court under the leadership of its special rapporteur, Professor Crawford, as he then was. Subsequently, there was a dramatic expansion, both as to the institutional mechanisms for prosecution and the substantive content of the law. War crimes were extended to non-international armed conflict, and crimes against humanity were extended to apply in time of peace as well as in war. This progressive development of the law was entrenched in Articles 7 and 8 of the Rome Statute. It may seem somewhat paradoxical that in such a period of dynamism and development, the definition of genocide in Article 6, which is essentially identical to Article 2 of the Convention, did not undergo the same evolution. But at the Rome Conference, there was no interest in amending the definition of genocide, despite decades of criticism of its narrowness and limited scope. This was actually easy to understand. With the expansion of crimes against humanity to peacetime, the very issue that had prompted Lemkin's initiative at the first session of the General Assembly, there was little, if any, reason to enlarge the definition of genocide. There was no longer a gap to be filled. And nevertheless, efforts have been continued by those hoping that the definition of genocide will be broadened to encompass a broader range of acts, and to accompany this, an understanding of genocidal intent that goes beyond physical destruction and extends to acts of persecution. Twice in this court, in recent years, in the Bosnia and the Croatia cases, counsel have urged such an expansion, and twice they have failed. The Gambia's application and the submission made this week reminds me of the words of an American baseball player known for his pithy aphorisms, who once said, "This is a case of déjà vu all over again." Why do I insist on this historical perspective? Because at the heart of the debate is whether the court should maintain its position, solidly rooted in its jurisprudence, to borrow its own expression, or take a new direction. And while this debate will feature if the case ever goes to the merits, it is also extraordinarily relevant to the debate on provisional measures. As As I said, these issues were not debated at the provisional measures stage in 1993. As I said, both parties requested them. Yugoslavia's response to Bosnia's application that they wanted provisional measures too against the Bosniaks. And this is why those orders are of very limited relevance and assistance in addressing the issues today, some 26 years later. The fact that issues relating to atrocities perpetrated against minorities committed in peacetime would be addressed by an expansion of the definition of crimes against humanity could not have been known to the court in 1993 or to the parties. Today we have a situation lamented by counsel for the applicant. We heard more of that this morning. And lamented, as was lamented by counsel for the applicants in the Croatia and the Bosnia cases, where there is a demanding standard for proof of genocidal intent. I won't repeat my remarks on this yesterday. But it's clear that today the court imposes such a demanding standard, whereas that was not clear by any means in 1993. It does not seem to be sound judicial policy in 2019 that there should be a low standard for an order of provisional measures if the applicant confronts a very high and demanding standard on the merits. The criteria for the indication of provisional measures should correspond in some way.
Mr. Shabaga, who did Mamabaka Nevido, the Gambia, and a name Manangama, you don't touch a moon and put the be so sweat boma. Mr. Shabaga to Twijong Mudibi. The mind, John the Shoma, ICJ Gani, you kind to a Sonia Kede, you don't touch a moose or a county of January, that show Jamari go Uma, and in a tempia, Bido Shimbia, Papa, I met Dua, Bajan Kulum, the mind, John, Yashilia Yabe, Tempia solution, let's see. ICJ Diayo Mata when she did Diadu Gigi and Nene Palumio, kind to a Somjamle, so that may go to the Papa to the piano. The gentleman saying Cheledi, Yalumio Tamjapu to la Palu, Jamia Mu, Palucini, Mujama, Tamu, Tamadale, Sura Mu, Lomala, Tamamo Shi, Leshi Memanangane Chinibo Mutivi, Camiaga, Dea, Sesu Boma, a Tijani, Tiayonga Samyamala, Surago. Go to this Shishin Mati Edward, Diayonga, Palumu, the war tamale, Tau Dijan Edward, to Tishike, the Manon Saya, Cheladine, Genocide, Pale Sura, do a Shilling Mido Yono, Tempiade, Nene, Tempiada Pietalo, the Pagale, Megon Tony, the Pepare.
If there was genocidal intent. I think this is quite different from the point counsel was making. And I don't believe that's in conflict in any way with what the court said about drawing inferences from patterns of conduct. The hour is late. I'm not going to read the citations. I apologize to the court for some of the hasty preparation. We had 3 hours between the morning session to get our text together. The relevant paragraphs, they were cited this morning. Paragraph 190 in the Bosnia decision, paragraph 163 in the Croatia decision. The Croatia decision, commenting on the earlier ruling in the Bosnia decision and endorsing it, says that the court has no reason to depart from its previous conclusions. In order to determine whether forced displacements constitute genocide, it will seek to ascertain whether those forced displacements took place in such circumstances that they were calculated to bring about the physical destruction of the group. Many features of the circumstances alleged in the application, including the relatively small number of deaths compared with the overall population, the huge migration flows, the presence within Myanmar of many hundreds of thousands who have not been subject to violent attacks with lethal consequences or other threats to life since the events of September 2017, argue against the inference that such forced displacements took place in such circumstances that they were calculated to bring about the physical destruction of the group. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the court, for your attention. Mr. President, may I respectfully ask if you would give the floor to Her Excellency, the agent for Myanmar.
I thank Professor Shebas for his statement. I shall now give the floor to the agent of Myanmar, Her Excellency Mrs. Aung San Suu Kyi, to make a closing statement on behalf of Myanmar. You have the floor, Madam.
Mr. Shabaye, ရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြချက်တွေရှောက်လဲချက်တွေအပြီးမှာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံရဲ့အတိုင်ပင်ခံပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဒေါ်အောင်ဆန်းစုကြည်ကရုံးတော်ကိုဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့တင်ပြရှောက်ထားမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
And should not be ignored if we are serious about establishing constitutional democracy and rule of law in Myanmar. International criminal tribunals take 4 to 8 years to undertake investigations of core international crimes, sometimes longer. Just over 2 years have passed since a serious internal armed conflict against the ARSA, and the second court-martial is now underway. The Gambia has not challenged the quality of military justice in the Indian case, only pardon, which many of us regret. The ongoing Gutabian court-martial in Budiram Township should be allowed to run its course. I'm confident that there will be further courts-martial after the submission of the final report of the Independent Commission of Inquiry in a few weeks. Mr. President, it is vital for Myanmar's present and future that our civilian and military criminal justice systems functions in accordance with the Constitution. Where a country has a military justice system, neutralizing this system by externalizing justice, in effect, surgically removes a critical limb from the body, the limb that helps armed forces to self-correct, to improve, to better perform their functions within the constitutional order. Mr. President, members of the court, in my opening statement yesterday, I mentioned that international justice is a practice that affirms our common values and that we look to justice as a champion of reconciliation and harmony that will assure the security and rights of all peoples. Allow me, in this context, to mention one example of what we are doing on the ground in northern Rakhine to further reconciliation between communities. In January 2019, the In Transformation Initiative, ICJ, directed by Mr. Rolf Mayer, a transitional justice leader in South Africa, launched the Rakhine Transformation Project that aims at preventing the recurrence of historical violence and paving the way for sustainable voluntary return of peoples displaced by violence. In the words of Mr. Mayer himself, I quote, 9 months after its inception, and despite increased fighting in the area between the AA and the military, the project has gained sufficient traction in Maungdaw for it to be regarded as sustainable. Mr. President, recalling the words about football in paragraph 18 of the opening statement of the agent of the Gambia, allow me to present these pictures from a football match. Organized by the ITI, a football tournament recently took place at the Myanmar Athletic Field in Maungdaw Town. Players and spectators are a mix from different communities in Maungdaw Township, the area at the center.
ဒေါ်အောင်ဆန်းစုကြည်ကရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြတာကတော့တကယ်တော့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံမှာဖြစ်ပေါ်ခဲ့တဲ့ကိစ္စရပ်တွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတက်မတော်အနေနဲ့လည်းဒီဖြစ်ပွားခဲ့တဲ့ကိစ္စရပ်တွေအပေါ်မူတည်ပြီးဒီဖြစ်စဉ်ပေါ်တာဝန်ရှိမှုတာဝန်ရှိသူတွေအပေါ်လိုအပ်တဲ့စုံစမ်းစစ်ဆေးမှုအရေးယူမှုတွေဆောင်ရွက်နိုင်မှာဖြစ်တယ်။သို့တော့ဒီလိုအရေးယူဆောင်ရွက်မှုတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးနိုင်ငံပြည်ပကနေပြီးတော့ဝင်ရောက်ဆွတ်ဖက်မယ်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တကယ်တမ်းပြည်တွင်းမှာလှုပ်ဆောင်နေတဲ့အပေါ်မှာအနှောက်အယှက်တွေဖြစ်နိုင်တယ်။ဒါအပြင်ဥပမာအားဖြင့်ခန္ဓာကိုယ်တစ်ခုမှရှိတဲ့ခြေဒီလက်တွေကိုလာပြီးအနှောက်အယှက်ပေးသလိုလာပြီးတော့ဖျက်ဆီးလိုက်သလိုမျိုးလူရင်းကိုမရောက်နိုင်ဘူးဆိုတဲ့အကြောင်းနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့လည်းဒါတရားရုံးတော်ကိုတင်ပြနေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ
in quest of sustainable peace and development. Steps that generate suspicion, sow doubts, or create resentment between communities who have just begun to build a fragile foundation of trust, could undermine reconciliation. Ending the ongoing internal armed conflict between the Arakan Army and Myanmar's defense services is of the utmost importance for our country. But it is equally important to avoid any reignition of the 2016 to 2017 internal armed conflict in northern Rakhine. Mr. President, members of the court, I now conclude by formally presenting to you the final submission of Myanmar. These are as follows. In accordance with Article 60, paragraph 2 of the Rules of Court, for the reasons given during the hearing from 10th to 12th December 2019, and any other reasons the court might deem appropriate, Myanmar requests the court to remove the case from its list. In the alternative, to reject the request for the indication of provisional measures submitted by the Gambia. Mr. President and members of the court, that concludes Myanmar's observations. I thank you for your kind attention, and I also thank the staff of the registry for all assistance offered to our delegation.
I thank the agent of Myanmar. The court takes note of the submissions of Myanmar, which you have just read out on behalf of your government. This brings the present series of sittings to an end. I would like to thank the agents, counsel, and advocates of the two parties for their statements. In accordance with the usual practice, I shall request both agents to remain at the court's disposal to provide any additional information the court may require. The court will render its order on the request for the indication of provisional measures as soon as possible. The agents of the parties will be advised in due course as to the date on which the court will deliver its order at a public sitting. Since the court has no other business before it today, the sitting is declared closed.
Dozen to Gigaro, Ludu Shimmet, and Yadora Pepper, I made him a chance to tape your door and Monagan in Lessima, the Taina Lanaga and Petana, Shini, to the Ine, type web bonnet at Chini Boma, Tilu, Shallow at Chini Boma, Pishini, Mulabil and Jazzy, you let two sound ideas or a peony body. Dabian to ICJ, Tiayono, go down to Dore Checaro, the cookie sayan at Petabi, ICJ Nine, Losang Woman Tembu, the Lucasaya did Losang Mule, Malu Avulu, Piojara, Pepiro. Gambia back on a video, Javia, Media, Chamia Bibu, Pojala, Ripomale, like Baluton, Yamapu, down to Dora Pepare, to Tulu, the ball of Mananganine, Mudabian and Jazzy, Manangan, Pepon, and Gazadi, patience, Yari, Shini, Darigu, Samuel Nida, Samuel Nize, Pede, Doe, Jono Nina Darigu, Tishi, Nale, Naimbu, Mula, and Gazadi, Masanya put down to Dora Pepare. Come here. 11 media group, Jishuni, paid them, ya, come here, Tini, the Netherlandsနိုင်ငံတဟိမြို့မှာရှိတဲ့ ICJ တရားရုံးတော်မှာတတိယမြောက်နေ့အဖြစ်ဒီဂမ်ဘီယာနိုင်ငံကမြန်မာနိုင်ငံပေါ်မှာတရားစွဲဆိုမှုနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးနှစ်ဖက်လျှောက်ထားချက်တွေပြုလုပ်နေတာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာဒါကတော့တတိယမြောက်နေ့ဖြစ်ပါတယ်ပြီးခဲ့တဲ့ဒီဇင်ဘာလ10ရက်နေ့မှာဂမ်ဘီယာနိုင်ငံကမြန်မာနိုင်ငံပေါ်မှာလူမျိုးတုံးတပ်ဖြတ်မှုတွေရှိနေတယ်ဆိုတာနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးပထမဆုံးအကြိမ်နှုတ်ဖြင့်လျှောက်ထားပြောဆိုတာကိုဆောင်ရွက်ခဲ့ပါတယ်ဒီဇင်ဘာလ17ရက်နေ့မှာမြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့ပြန်လည်ပြီးတော့တုံ့ပြန်ရှင်းလင်းတာခြေပတာကိုပြုလုပ်ခဲ့ပါတယ်ဒီနေ့တတိယမြောက်နေ့မှာမနက်ပိုင်းမှာဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကနေပြီးတော့မြန်မာနိုင်ငံရဲ့တင်ပြမှုတွေပေါ်မှာဆက်လက်ပြီးတော့ခြေပပြီးတော့ထပ်မံဆွဆွဲပြစ်တင်တာတွေပြုလုပ်ခဲ့သလိုဒီနေ့နယ်သာလန်နိုင်ငံရဲ့ညနေ by Manang Sanodina Senaya, Sutana Gueti, Manang Bagani Video, Gambia Taman, Sosoe, Timbia, Jetty, Boma, Pianlevido, Dombia, Shilin, Chipara, Regulo Songera, Pepa, Camia, Lashi Tido, the Tiasu Mune, Petabido, the ICJ Young and Avio, the Zondia, Javia, main Chamachin, so that single Yoshi Jim, Shidiwa, Camia, Kuleshi Maro, Gambia, Nangane, Nama Nangaye, Napa, Chana, Moody, Boma. ICJ တရားရုံးတော်မှာနှစ်ဖက်ကနေပြီးတော့ကြားနာလျှောက်လဲချက်ပေးတဲ့အဆင့်ပဲရှိပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာလက်ရှိမှာတော့ဒီဂမ်ဘီယာဘက်ကဆွဆွချက်တွေရှိသလိုမြန်မာနိုင်ငံဘက်ကလည်းဥပဒေကြောင်းဆိုင်ရာတွေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးမြန်မာနိုင်ငံရဲ့နိုင်ငံတော်တိုင်ပင်ခံပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဒေါ်အောင်ဆန်းစုကြည်အပါအဝင်ဥပဒေပညာရှင်တွေကစနစ်တကျပြန်လည်ပြီးတုံ့ပြန်ဖြေရှင်းခဲ့တာတွေဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာဒါတွေကို11ရုပ်သံကနေပြီးတော့ဒီ ICJ ရုံးတော်ကတိုက်ရိုက်ထုတ်လွှင့်မှုပေါ်မှာအခြေခံပြီးအလင်းသင်းသလိုဘာသာပြန်ဆိုဖော်ပြပြီးထုတ်လွှင့်ခဲ့တာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒါနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့လက်ရှိမှာတတရားမြောက်ကြားနာမှုအစီအစဉ်တွေပြီးဆုံးသွားပြီဖြစ်ပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာအလဲပိုင်းရုပ်သံကိုကြည့်ရှုနေကြတဲ့ပြည်သူများခင်ဗျာဒီနေ့ထုတ်လွှင့်မှုကတော့ဒီမှာတင်ရန်နာမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်ဒါအပြင်ဒီဖြစ်စဉ်နဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးထပ်မံပြီးသိရှိရတဲ့အချက်လက်တွေအကြောင်းအရာတွေသတင်းတွေရှိလို့ရှိရင်လည်းဆက်လက်ဖော်ပြပေးသွားမှာဖြစ်တဲ့အတွက်ယနေ့ထုတ်လွှင့်မှုကိုကျင်းနဲ့ကြလိမ့်မယ်လို့ယူဆပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာမင်္ဂလာရှိတဲ့ညချမ်းလေးဖြစ်ကြပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာကြည့်ရှုနားဆင်ပေးကြတဲ့ပြည်သူများအပေါင်းကို11 Media Group ကအထူးပဲကျေးဇူးတင်ရှိပါတယ်ခင်ဗျာ